In a galaxy far beyond the boundaries of Earth, a single human stood amidst the throng of alien species, in a laboratory that defied all sense of terrestrial logic. The room was filled with an assortment of technologies and weapons, the likes of which no Earth scientist could comprehend. And at its center was Lieutenant Blake Carter, the galaxy's only human weapons tester. Blake was chosen not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they were stubbornly fearless, even in the face of the unknown. The aliens that surrounded Blake were from the Zenith Consortium, coalition of species that prided themselves on innovation, especially in the realm of warfare. Their weapons were designed to adapt to the physiological and psychological limits of various species. But there was one problem. No one knew where the limits of a human lay. Blake's job was to determine that, or as Blake liked to put it, to break things until the aliens told them to stop. Today was another day of pushing boundaries. Blake stood in the testing chamber, a sterile white room, lined with a material that could supposedly absorb any kind of energy. The head scientist, a Krelthan named Vortex, handed Blake a sleek metallic device that pulsed with an eerie blue glow. This is the latest in plasma blade technology. It is designed to be lightweight, yet capable of cutting through nearly any known material. Please activate it and swing at the designated target. Blake gripped the device, feeling its hum of energy as they pressed the activation panel. A blade of pure energy extended from the hilt, casting the room in a faint blue light. Blake took a deep breath and swung at the target, a monolithic block of Xandrium alloy known for its near indestructibility. The blade sliced through it like butter. The aliens in the observation room erupted in cheers, but Blake barely had time to bask in their excitement before Vortex adjusted their translator unit. Make it stronger. Blake's voice rang out with an air of nonchalance, as if they hadn't just obliterated one of the hardest materials in the galaxy. The aliens' cheers turned into murmurs of disbelief and confusion. Stronger. Vortex's voice quivered with uncertainty. Surely this is sufficient? Blake raised an eyebrow and gestured at the remaining block of Xandrium. If it can only cut through this, then it's not ready for combat. You need to account for shields, reinforced alloys, and other variables. Stronger. As the scientists scrambled to enhance the plasma blade, Blake leaned against a wall, arms crossed. Their thoughts wandered to the oddity of their situation. They were just a soldier back on Earth, not even someone with a scientific background. Yet here, they were influencing the development of intergalactic weaponry. Maybe it was the human knack for pushing boundaries, or maybe it was just dumb luck. Either way, Blake wasn't going to complain. The next test involved an energy rifle. Vortex handed it to Blake with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. This is the Epsilon Mark 7. It fires concentrated beams of ionized particles capable of disintegrating organic matter and destabilizing energy shields. The target is that boulder of kyanite over there. Please proceed. Blake took aim at the shimmering purple boulder. Kyanite was notorious for its resilience against energy-based attacks. With a squeeze of the trigger, the rifle unleashed a beam of crackling green light. The boulder vibrated violently before crumbling into dust. The aliens' cheers erupted once again, but Blake's face remained stoic. They lowered the rifle and turned to Vortex. Stronger. The word echoed through the observation room, causing several of the scientists to exchange nervous glances. The rifle is already highly advanced, protested a Zoltran technician whose translucent skin glowed with anxiety. But Blake's expression didn't waver. Stronger. They repeated. If I'm going to use this in a real battle, I need it to take out multiple targets, not just one. Make it fire faster, more efficiently, and with higher output. Vortex tendrils twitched as he issued new instructions to his team. While they worked, Blake took a moment to observe the scientists. Each one represented a pinnacle of their species' intellectual achievement. Yet they seemed baffled by Blake's insistence on improvement. Maybe it was because humans had a unique way of thinking, one that embraced failure as a stepping stone rather than a dead end. The tests continued, each weapon more destructive than the last. Each time Blake demanded more, the scientists grew increasingly uneasy, but they complied, unwilling to disappoint their only human tester. By the end of the day, the lab was filled with a palpable tension. Even the normally unflappable vortex seemed on edge. Finally, the last weapon of the day was brought out. It was a device the size of a small suitcase with a series of intricate glowing patterns etched into its surface. This is the Singularity Core, Vortex explained. It creates a localized gravitational anomaly capable of crushing anything within its radius. We have calibrated it to be non-lethal for this test, but its full potential is devastating. Blake's eyes narrowed as they examined the device. And you want me to activate it? Yes, replied Vortex. Though his tone suggested he wasn't entirely comfortable with the idea, Blake stepped into the testing chamber with the Singularity Core in hand. They placed it on the floor and activated it. Immediately, a swirling vortex of energy began to form, pulling everything in the room toward its center. The walls groaned under the pressure, and the air felt heavy, as if gravity itself had turned against them. As the vortex reached its peak, Blake stood at the edge of its influence, observing its effects. They could feel the pull threatening to drag them in, but they held their ground. Finally, they deactivated the device and turned to face the observation room. Stronger. This time, the word was met with silence. Several scientists appeared to faint on the spot, while others gawked at Blake. As if they were some kind of mythical being, Vortex tendrils twitched uncontrollably. Stronger, he repeated weakly. Yes, Blake replied casually. If this is going to be used in the field, it needs to create a larger anomaly and sustain it longer. Make it stronger. The rest of the day passed in a blur of frantic activity as the scientists attempted to process Blake's feedback. When the session finally ended, Blake left the lab feeling a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. They knew their demands seemed excessive, but they also knew that in war, there was no room for mediocrity. Every weapon had to be the best it could be because lives depended on it. As Blake walked back to their quarters, they couldn't help but chuckle at the memory of the scientists' reactions. It wasn't that they enjoyed making people uncomfortable, but there was something undeniably amusing about seeing some of the galaxy's greatest minds scrambling to meet their standards. Maybe tomorrow they'd cut them some slack, or maybe not. After all, there was always room for improvement.